their needs. We have different treatments on the varieties. So we have like typically the Roundup Ready to Extend, so you can spray glyphosates and dicambas, or there's the new treatment coming out, which is Enlist, so you can also spray 2,4-D but not dicamba. So depending on your spray program and your weeds, you can definitely use the drones for that, and it's interesting to see that there is not necessarily a drift concern. So
this year is, are there other places where there are pockets of 120 BPA in soybeans?
So I know based on like we're mainly in Orangeville, Reticville, Stainer, but then like for Boris, he's down in the marsh, so he has very high organic matter, which can definitely bump your yields quite a bit. And just with this like weather this year, how it was quite wet and early season, like herbicide programs didn't necessarily work because it was so dry in the beginning and then it got very wet, making it harder to even get in with the sprayer. So definitely an interesting year that way.
Let's welcome Roman to share with us the T40's performance. So how did you do in the field, and what do you feel about the operation compared with our tractors?
Well, Jenny, first of all, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yep.
You know what? It was our first year using the Agris T40, and as opposed to a row crop tractor, I mean, when it comes to the spraying, it was a new thing. It's innovative and it's fantastic, especially with our fungicide that we're applying to the soybeans. Well, you know, when it comes to taking even the cost, as you know, taking heavy machinery out with all your energy costs and all that, even with the distribution of the material, like for instance, it's beneficial with the rotor wash, with the wind from the propellers. The droplets actually penetrate the leaves a lot better because they're more stirred up. And even I was surprised because I came in thinking, okay, didn't think the technology was ready yet. I thought, okay, they got a long way to go. However, hey, like with our setup, I mean, 80 acres in under 3.5 hours, it was very impressive, very impressive. And the effect it had, like with the centrifugal nozzles, the distribution of your chemical and the material is fantastic. So
you felt you were getting penetration of the fungicide onto the flower petals better?
It's way better. Even like we tried about 20 acres of onions. We did majority soybeans with it the first time this year, but even I tried it on some onions, and you know, onion leaves, they're very brittle. They break easily. However, like even because it's very difficult to get the product into deep inside the leaves and the canopy of the leaves. Okay, but like it's fantastic. Even you can control the size of your droplet with the magnetic nozzle inside the sprayer. So even like you could have it as close as what is it, 4 nanometers or something, to almost like an aerosol spray. So you can have it ultra fine, or you can have it a little bit more coarse, depending on your application. For fungicides, because it's such a thick mix, like it's like almost like a granular, it's in a suspension. So you have your droplets are going to be wider, but nevertheless, that rotor wash from that downdraft from those propellers agitates. It does a lot better job as you were a conventional sprayer, right? So yeah, we've had a great year so far. I mean, you know, it's great. The application now, just recently, we've just done some tests on spreading with the granular winter rye, because it's also it's interchangeable. As you know, the sprayer tank is interchangeable with a spreading unit. And even with the winter rye, I noticed we're doing some stuff for a farmer in Bradford. Even the uniformity of the spread, you have to put less pounds per acre of the seed on as you would a conventional seeder because of the uniformity. I mean, it spreads it a lot better, and it's precision. It's so precise Not only that, the soil, when it's all tossed up, even for germination, you don't need to plant deep. I mean, like here, I just finished off 80 acres of winter wheat last week, and even with our seeder, you have to put double down when you're seeding. So, and you don't need to go that deep for germination either. I mean, when it comes to barley or winter wheat, you can just rest it on the top as long as the soil is decent and fluffy enough. And yeah, so like I say, this drone is a godsend. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. So we're actually thinking of getting another unit. We're in the process of getting another unit. But when it comes to the M3M for mapping, it's fantastic for mapping. The M3M, I don't know if you know anything familiar with drones. It's the equivalent of the Mavic, which is like, for best, like people who do cinematography and stuff. However, this is for more biometric. You have infrared, you have all that stuff. You can detect elevation, which is fantastic. It was like Jennifer said, you can also do the mapping with the Agris. However, it's more precise with the M3M model, right? Especially for us, we're not growing thousands. We're not growing with 700 acres to 1,000 acres. So with us, we can individually map by ourselves just using the Agris. But for large fields, it's more it's better to use the M3M for sure. Great, it's great technology. Fantastic. I'm happy with it. Yeah.
So were you using the NDVI maps to like identify problems in the field and things like that?
You know what? For right now, we haven't used it. Jen and Alex came and we've showcased it. We've tried it on our fields, but for us, it's like the prescription spraying and the precision spraying. We're not at that level right now, but I mean, in the future, like it's fantastic though. Like it will tell you, it'll read the biomass of the field and it will tell you where exactly it needs to be sprayed more, or whether it needs more fertilizer, whether it needs more nitrogen. It's fantastic. Yeah. Even for other applications as well. Remember, this thing does not only do that, it detects precise elevation. It can see where your fields are, where wet your fields are.
Oh, you're drifting out a bit, Roman. Just your sound is
Oh, can you hear me now? How's that?
There we go. Yeah.
Right, it's a Samsung Galaxy. It's not really high tech, but okay. Yeah, like I was saying, it'll detect your elevation wherever you have a wet spot in the ground or you have a lower elevation. It will detect that. It will detect that with precision. And it's fantastic.
Oh, so this is like elevation is getting down to almost centimeter resolution, like
sub-centimeter. It's crazy.
Really? Yeah.
So the default that it actually uses, for mapping is Google Earth. Okay. But here's the problem. There's a bias that's it's not entirely 100%. So that's why it's recommended that you map your fields, because the offset and the bias on Google Earth is not going to be 100%. So let's say you're in the boundary of your field and there's a few branches sticking out or whatever. It's not going to be 100%. You're going to have to map it out. This thing is so precise. So every picture that it takes when this thing maps. Now, I'm talking about not just the T40, which does the same thing, but the M3M. It's so accurate. It will take a picture every so often, a 20 megapixel picture, and stitch them all together at the end. Now, I'll give you an example. We did, let's say we map 30 acres. So we do up and down and go around, maybe 5 minutes. It takes another 5 minutes to stitch it all together. You have your map. Boom, done. It's there. Like I say, sub-centimeter. Fantastic. You can literally see a branch. You can see any obstacles. This is fantastic. Very, very clear, very high resolution. I mean, 10 years ago, I would have told you this would be science fiction. You know what I mean? But I mean, hey, the technology is there. Even there was a firmware update not too long ago, and there was a little bit of lag behind, and when it would come to the end of the field and it would kind of turn around, but now it's flawless, just comes to the end, spins around, goes, oh, it's fantastic. I mean, if we had, like, I'm looking in the future, if we have 3 or 4 of these things going at the same time, get something done. And then, like I say, you're eliminating your ruts, you're eliminating your spray tracks, you're eliminating the cost of fuel to get out there. You know what it would cost for a 3,000 gallon tank with a 120 foot boom, which is what we have. I mean, it's crazy. So, thus far it's worked fantastic. Even for onions. And so we do onions and soybeans, and it's for that. And now only fungicide so far. I don't know what the legal aspect of it is, whether we're trying to further this thing and get pesticides going and all that stuff, right? But I mean,
Yeah, I don't
think
understand why it's okay to use a helicopter, but not a drone.
well, because it would put those guys out of business, right? Think about it, right? You know?
Well, the helicopter guys want to use drones too, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think with those farmers, especially in Southern Ontario, those guys are growing cash crops, thousands of acres. It's like, you know, they have the aerial crop dusting, and they'll get a bunch of farmers together, because even just to start one of those things and get it down there is big money just to get it down there, right? So,
oh yeah, like the helicopters. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but if a couple of
And they're always
farmers,
broken,
what's that?
and they're
Yeah.
always broken or about to break.
That's another thing. Well, I mean, look at how much insurance costs on one of those things too, even an airplane. But yeah, like these guys in Southern Ontario who have all this big land, it would be fantastic. It would be feasible for a farmer to have one, you know, just to do, even just for precision, for doing headlands and stuff, where Jen said, where the planes can't get in or the helicopters can't get in. Just do the headlands or stuff where it's really wet or it's obstructing something, or it's feasible for that for sure, right?
Oh, that's interesting. Thanks, Roman.
Yeah, no problem.
It looks like, yeah.
No, it's fantastic. I'm happy with it. And not only that, like I've done some videos. First of all, I've been doing cinematography for years now. Like I've done commercial real estate videos with the DJI, like the Phantom. This is going back almost a decade. And I have that, you know, kind of background where I can know how to pilot these things, right? Whereas, you know, I'm not going to mention any names, but there was a farmer who came up to see me, and he bought one. He's like, well, I can't even fly a kite. Well, I mean, maybe you should learn how to fly a kite first before you fly one of these things, right? So, I mean, it's not hard, and they're not hard to operate. They're not difficult to operate at all. If you know what, like it's up and down, left and right. It's so simple. It's not like a helicopter where you have your pitch and your yaw or whatever, right? It's very, very easy. And not only that, it's fully autonomous anyway, right? So yeah, it's great. Very happy with it.
There you go, Jenny. Free kite with every T40.
Yeah, free kite training. It's like training wheels, right? You know what I mean? There you go.
Thank you so much, Roman, for your sharing. And
No problem.
Anybody has questions?
Yeah, Roman, this is pretty cool to hear from someone who's using these units.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering about when you were talking about the mapping and you have multiple 20 meg photos.
20 megapixels.
How do you handle all that data? Does that get uploaded to the cloud? And
yeah. Okay. Well, there's the cloud, but there's also a memory stick you can put in. Okay. But I mean, that's the beauty of it, because as Jenny said, there's a DJI Smart Farm app. So I can map everything, have it uploaded to the cloud. I can access it on my iPhone. I can access it on my Android. Anything that's done in the field, any work that we've done, I can see what's going on. So the pre-maps are already saved. Now, we did an initial mapping of all of our fields this year, okay? But that doesn't mean next year it's going to be the same map, and I'll tell you why. Because I noticed there was a lot of obstructions in a lot of our fields with branches and overgrown vegetation. So what's going to happen in the fall time, or in the springtime, sorry, I'm going to go out there, chop all those trees, and we have a big unit there. We can saw all the branches off, and there's going to be some work done. So it doesn't even matter. Every year, you know, 5 years, the landscape changes. Your branches aren't going to be the same, or something's going to happen. So next year we'll remap again, right? Okay. Even in this, like if you map in the springtime, let's say when you're seeding, okay, and then all that, like this year we had a lot of rain, so there's a lot more vegetation. There's a lot more growth. Even in those 3 or 4 months, those initial maps that you did, they're going to change because you're not accounting for the new vegetation and stuff and the obstructions that are growing. So like I say, so next year we're going to do another map of all the fields, and like I say, fantastic 20 megapixel photos, very high resolution, and it stitches it together. It does it automatically, literally within 5 minutes. It stitches everything together, and you got your map. Boom, done. But you can see So let's say I'm in a field, and then I'll take the controller and I'll cursor over. I'll just move it over to the adjacent property, which is not mapped. You could see the difference between the original default Google map at Google Earth map and what the map that you've done, and it's like night and day. It's fantastic. Like, even like, this is not just for farming, for agricultural. I mean, like I say, they do this for surveying. They use the same technology for construction, anything, any kind of site that you want to work on, right?
Very cool. No, I was concerned the data handling would be tough because it's so much information, but if it goes to a stick.
Oh, goes to, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, even the compression ratio too. It's what's a 20 megapixel photo now? I mean, like what, 500 kilobytes or whatever it is. But nevertheless, yeah, you can either put it. You have a stick, or it goes right to the cloud. Yeah, and it's saved there for good. But like I say, you're going to update it every year, every couple of years, depending, right?
Great.